So wait, there's one last piece. Yeah. What? So stop this fuss and fund our transit. So what? We take the bus. It moves us. What? So stop this fuss and fund our transit. What?
We take the bus.
What? It moves us. What? So stop this fuss and fund our transit. What?
We take the bus.
What?
It moves us.
What? So stop this fuss and fund our transit. What?
We take the bus.
What?
It moves us.
What? So stop this fuss and fund our transit. What?
We take the bus.
What?
It moves us.
What? So stop this fuss and fund our transit. What?
We take the bus.
What?
It moves us.
What? So stop this fuss and fund our transit. All right, so that's the first one. It's a little complicated. Here's the one that's easier and also great. So I'm gonna say something, and then you're gonna say for all PA, okay? I'm gonna say something, you say for all PA, that's it. I'm gonna say fund transit.
For all PA.
The bus.
For all PA.
Bus drivers.
For all PA.
Yes, transit.
For all PA.
Shared ride.
For all PA.
We're transit.
For all PA.
Fund transit.
For all PA.
The bus.
For all PA.
Bus drivers.
For all PA.
Yes, transit.
For all PA.
Shared ride.
For all PA.
We're transit.
For all PA.
All right, give it up. We're gonna get no budget without buses. I'm gonna turn it over to Connor Deschmaker. He was the campaign manager for Transit for All PA.
All right. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Laura, for hyping us up. As was mentioned, I'm the state campaign manager for Transit for All PA. We are a campaign of riders, workers, and allies fighting for safe, reliable, and dignified access to all the places we need to go, right? Consider this today a full and strong representation of what we mean by Transit for All. Today alone, we have riders and workers from Harrisburg, Scranton, Bellefonte, York, Lancaster, Allentown, Bradford, Hazleton, Narberth, Meadville, Lewisburg, and yes, Philly and Pittsburgh. We're proud to be here with legislators from these regions, workers from our ATUs, community foundations, social service organizations, but most importantly, we're here with and for our riders to say loud and clear, transit moves us. All right, we are in a crisis moment, all right? We are seeing, and as a result of that crisis moment for transit, there's unprecedented alignment between business, healthcare, labor, and community organizations to address our structurally underfunded transit systems. We're here to today support full funding, all right? We need time to recover from operator shortages, reorganize service where needed, and we even have one of the plans that is available to achieve that, a plan that is politically viable, related to transit, quickly stood up, and not burdensome to working people. You'll hear about it from some legislators today. Transit is not an urban issue, and today's program demonstrates that. It operates in all 67 counties in the Commonwealth, and we cannot let people lie and minimize the role of transit for our elders, our students, and our disabled populations in every county in Pennsylvania. All right, that being said, I own my position as a queer transit rider from Philadelphia, among the 800,000 daily riders of SEPTA. But proudly, I work weekly with those comrades across the strait, not letting the foolish trope of a rural-urban divide distract from the truth of our interdependence, particularly in infrastructure and mobility. Public transit is essential to our economic competitiveness and overall success. It eases traffic, lowers pollution, creates and sustains living wage jobs. It attracts major employers and events, and most crucially, it connects the elderly and people with disabilities to family, culture, healthcare, and jobs. In Philadelphia, what will 2026 look like without transit? In Pittsburgh, what will 2026 look like without transit? I'll tell you what, we'll never have that again, all right? That is how drastic we're looking at here. In Allegheny County, we see the potential of projects like the East Busway, but the threat of making permanent 2 decades of service cuts at PRT. In Johnstown, I read the breathless monthly updates on when their beloved incline will return to service. That is public transit. In the Lehigh Valley, among Pennsylvania's fastest growing regions, we see the potential of restored intercity rail alongside the threat of 20% service cuts. In Bellefonte and Spring and Benner townships, we see the impacts of immense service loss, and right now they are losing all fixed route service. All right, the pandemic has permanently changed the way we get around. Boo that. We don't have time for that. Our transit agencies need time and money to stabilize and build the future that we deserve. Our workers deserve longer than one-year contracts, and our riders need an opportunity to succeed and establish routine. So, full funding means, again, participation for all people. So we say to the Pennsylvania House and Senate, fund transit now. All right, next I'm going to welcome up as our first guest speaker, one of the co-sponsors of the Transit for All PA funding package in the House, from the PRT region, Representative Arian Abney, chair of the Allegheny County delegation.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me hear, are y'all ready to fund mass transit in Pennsylvania? Yeah! Well, I will tell y'all brought the heat today. The energy here is electric, and I will challenge you all to channel that energy after this press conference to take it to the halls of this Capitol and let all my colleagues in both chambers know how much you care about funding mass transit here in Pennsylvania. Again, my name is Arian Abney. I have the pleasure and the honor of representing all of my neighbors in the 19th State House Legislative District back home in the city of Pittsburgh. I also am the chairman of the Allegheny County House Democratic Delegation. I want to, just first and foremost, I want to thank Transit for All PA. I want to thank Transit for All PA for all of the work that they've been doing around this conversation for years now. And while you will see my name and Representative Benham's name and Senator Williams and Senator Saval's name on the Transit for All legislative package, the reality of the fact is Transit for All PA really laid the foundation with that white paper to help us take that concept and put it into policy. So thank you for that. Now look, y'all, this conversation around mass transit in Harrisburg is very fluid, and it really should not be as complicated as some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are trying to make it seem. There is a reason why this organization is called Transit for All. Transit for All, right? Mass transit should not be a partisan issue. When a bus driver pulls up to a bus stop and they open that door and they let a rider on, they don't ask that rider what their political affiliation is. Nope. They don't determine if that rider can get on the bus or not get on the bus, depending on if they're a Democrat or if they're a Republican or if they're an independent. Mass transit is a public service for the public good. Now, I want to remind folks that doing nothing on transit is actually going to cost us something. We call it in Harrisburg the do-nothing test, the do-nothing tax. And the reality of the fact is there are real-world consequences to the everyday quality of life of people. There are real-world side effects to not adequately funding mass transit. Have any of you ever seen those commercials on TV? I'm sure you have. Those commercials where they try to sell you or promote some type of pharmaceutical product, and what happens at the end of that commercial? You hear that little voice that speeds up really fast, and they tell you about all the side effects that will happen if you take this product, right? And when you really slow down and you think about it, you realize the side effects are probably worse than the condition in the first place, right? And so that's what happens when we don't accurately fund mass transit. There's going to be a litany of side effects. We talk about every day up here in Harrisburg the importance of our economy, the importance of jobs, the importance of making sure that people are employed. But if we have no buses to get people to and from their employment, how are they going to have jobs? When we have bus services that are talking about cutting their service after 11 p.m., how are the people on the night shift going to be able to catch a bus to get home? Every day in this Capitol, we talk about the importance of education and quality education and ensuring that our students in our classrooms have everything they need to be able to succeed. But if our students can't get to and from school, how can they be properly educated? We talk about in this Commonwealth how much we care about our seniors and our aging population. But if there are no buses to get our seniors to the hospital, to their doctor's visits, to their pharmacists, how can we say that we actually care about seniors? We talk about housing affordability in this Commonwealth. We talk about economic development, but a lot of these economic development projects are based on whether there is public transit going to and from it. So how can we talk about we care about our economy if we are not fully funding mass transit? And so, fortunately for us, there are solutions. There are solutions that are being put on the table. I have House Bill 1523. House Bill 1523 would provide a 6% tax on our rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft, and that money will go back. There you go. Tax Uber and Lyft. There you go. And that money will go back into the Mass Transit Fund to give us an estimate of $175 million additional to what the governor is proposing for us to fully fund mass transit. And so I would just leave you with this. I appreciate all of your hard work, your advocacy, and your effort. Do not let today be the last of the conversations. We have the rest of this month to get this budget done, but the people in this chambers, they need to hear your voice. All right, let's go get it done.
Great. All right, we're gonna be taking the bus around the state today, okay? Right? Are we gonna ride with me? Next up, we're taking the bus over to SEPTA region. We're gonna bring up a fierce advocate for transit, chair of the Philadelphia delegation, Rep. Morgan Cephas.
Welcome to the land of the cheesesteaks, the soft pretzels, and the Super Bowl champions out in the city of Philadelphia. Welcome! Go Birds! Can we say fun mass transit? Fun mass transit! Fun mass transit! Fun mass transit! So as I said, I'm State Representative Morgan Cephas, and I represent out in West Philadelphia. I also have the distinct pleasure of chairing the Philadelphia House delegation. Can the Philadelphia House delegation come stand with me right now? Ben, I know you're the only one, but come on up. That's okay. You know, I first want to just thank Transit for All for being here, and for everyone here that has been showing up, not just for the first time that we passed mass transit out of the House, but for the second and for the third time that we passed mass transit out of the House of Representatives. Thank you so much for joining this journey and standing with us. Thank you for crisscrossing the state and crisscrossing the Commonwealth, advocating for transit in every corner of this state, because we know when transit stops, Pennsylvania stops. Can we say that? When transit stops, Pennsylvania stops. When transit stops, Pennsylvania stops. I want to thank you for riding our buses, our trains, our trolleys, again, to remind us now is the time to deliver for the people of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We are in the final stretch. We are in the fourth quarter. I had to study some of these sports analogies, so just hang with me. We are in the final lap, and our constituents aren't just watching. They're not just watching. They're not just tweeting. They're not just doing messages on social media. They are looking for us and depending on us to deliver over the next 4 weeks, and we have to stand beside them. As we face this difficult environment in Washington, D.C., and we're preparing for the drastic cuts that is going to impact so many of the critical services, so many lifelines that our community stands on, we are reminded in this moment that we control our own destiny here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and we can deliver on mass transit, even though we know Washington is not delivering for us. In this moment, I am reminded of my own experience with mass transit. Growing up, it was a lifeline for my family. My 4 sisters and myself, we had to travel an hour outside of our neighborhood because we did not have adequate education where we lived. And because of that, we had to take a bus, train, and trolley, which is so many of our stories. Fast forward to when I got one of my first jobs in Center City. Me and my mother, we had to travel 45 minutes in order to just get to gainful employment. That is that bus, train, and trolley. This is the story of so many people, not just in the city of Philadelphia. Over 700,000 weekday riders have this same story. When you think about Pittsburgh, over 500,000 passengers have this same story, and that story is that we could not afford $35 a day to park. just to get to our jobs. We could not afford the $3 of gas, a gallon of gas that it takes to travel throughout our city. We could not afford the traffic congestion and the time that it took to get to our gain of employment. So without mass transit, we would have not been able to thrive, which is why it's more time and critical now more than ever to realize that mass transit isn't just a city issue. It's not just a suburban issue. It's not even just a rural issue. It is a people issue. It is a Pennsylvania issue. It's a student issue, a parent issue, a senior issue, a disabled issue, a worker, an employer, a union, a small business, an economic issue. It is a Pennsylvania issue, and now is the time to deliver for Pennsylvanians on mass transit. My colleague Ben Waxman constantly says we are always trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. And the way that we can do that is by investing in mass transit. He always says for every dollar invested in transit, $5 in economic activity is generated. For every dollar invested in transit, $3 is increased in business sales are generated. So without proper funding, we know that we are not going to be that economic engine that we need to be here in the Commonwealth. So one thing I will say is please don't get weary in your well-doing, because we got a long way to go in June. I feel like it's going to almost be like a year. But we know that we can do this because we've seen progress before. We've seen dollars delivered to systems, again, not once, but twice, and not just 3 times. And we know that we can deliver in this moment. So let's keep up the rallying cries. Let's keep our voices heard. Let's keep showing up to the Capitol so we can ensure that this Capitol, these politicians, these elected officials show up for Pennsylvania. Thank you, and let's continue this work.
All right, let's keep it moving quite along. I know it is hot. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We're going to take the bus over to York for the Susquehanna Regional Transit Authority. Is Preston Gaylor here? Preston? Do we see you here? Yes, we have Preston coming on over, and I will hold the mic. All right. Thank you, Preston.
Thank you. Podium's right here.
So I'll hold the mic, and you just speak just a little closer this way.
Right here.
Right. All right. Hold on one second. I'm getting the mic loose. Here you are. You're good.
All right, right here. Wow. Hello, folks. Good day to one and all, and it's a good day for a rally here in Pennsylvania. So, to give you a quick background, I'm coming to you from Southern York County, right on the Mason-Dixon. And as far as transit goes, I do use my Rapid Transit paratransit a lot on the weekdays 9 to 4.
Yeah.
So basically, and I do want to shout out Lauren for helping me with this. Accessible share ride public transit in York connects me to my favorite local destinations and hangout spots in the community. It connects me to my volunteer opportunities and soon, hopefully, getting back into the workforce as well, because I'm working on getting back to work. Basically, the way I see things is, you know, even though I and others in my community have disability, we all have a purpose, and we all deserve to have a purpose, and we all deserve to be a part of society and have all the members of society and contribute. We are calling on all legislators of the governor and the Pennsylvania State Senate to fund accessible transit not only today, but for many more years in the future. Because the way I see it is we all have a purpose. We need to keep going and keep fighting. So let's continue to fund all transit in PA and make our voices heard for all disabilities and our allies and supporters. Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right. Thank you all so much. Next up, we're going to take the bus Over to just down the road here from Capital Area Transit, the backbone of our transit services statewide, that is our workers. So I'd like to bring up Lionel Randolph, president of the Harrisburg ATU Local 1436 and legislative director of the ATU-PA Joint Conference Board. Thank you so much, Lionel. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate to see so many people turn out that supports public transportation. I didn't realize how essential this job was until COVID happened. We was here before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. We didn't stop while many people sat home. Our safety has been a concern for everybody. But what I want to say is, Harrisburg currently hauls about 5,000 people a day. Our ridership has increased since after COVID. We need to be able to sustain those routes. I watch people, I've been driving for 21 years now here at CAT. I'm a little confused because I heard somebody else say SRTA, and we are a part of SRTA Rapid Transit, but we're the Harrisburg branch of SRTA. On a bigger level, I know 2026, the NFL draft is going to be held in Pittsburgh. I know in Philadelphia, the World Cup soccer is going to be held there in 2026. I know they're going to celebrate 250 years of the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia, which was signed in Philadelphia. But I'm here speaking on the behalf of also the smaller agencies. ATU represents Allentown, Altoona, Bethlehem, Erie, Johnstown, Lancaster, Latrobe, Newcastle, Reading, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Williamsport, and there's actually smaller locals still outside of Pittsburgh. We don't currently have no transit police outside of the Port Authority do, and so do SEPTA. We need to find a way to get money to get us the essential things that we need outside of taking care of our mechanics, our operators, everybody, the guys that keeps the bus going. We got to get this funded now. We need it funded long term so that we don't have to worry about tomorrow. The bigger cities have to prepare for what's coming to their cities now. People don't drive all the time, and me personally, I don't like driving in Pittsburgh or Philadelphia. So we need to get this funded so we can depend on a reliable source, which is public transportation. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take the bus just to our east in Lancaster. We know that multimodal is a way of life because we got horses and buggies needing to share space with bikes, buses, pedestrians, and cars. Representing the Red Rose Transit Authority, Rep. Izzy Smith-Waddell. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure, Senator. Good morning, everyone. This is, usually I get to look out on a beautiful crowd, so now I got to turn around. But can I hear from the folks up top? And down the bottom here? Thank you so much. My name is State Rep. Izzy Smith-Waddell. I represent the 49th District in the finest county this Commonwealth has to offer. Sorry, folks. I am also representing as Secretary of the Black Caucus and as co-chair of the LGBTQ Equality Caucus. I would like to wish you a happy Pride Month and say this. Let's go by train, Queen. Yeah! No, really, genuinely, my transit story is statewide. I did my undergraduate in Pittsburgh. Lord knows I did not want to drive with that Pittsburgh left or whatever nonsense that is. So I took Port Authority buses. We had two beautiful ones parked right there. And when my mother was receiving treatment at Perlman for triple-negative breast cancer, we took the Amtrak from Lancaster and the SEPTA to the hospital so she could get her chemotherapy. And of course, in Lancaster, we have the Red Rose Transit Authority, which moves thousands of my neighbors and constituents to jobs across Lancaster County and into Berks County every single day. Yeah. I want everybody to understand that we are talking about, when we talk about transit, we are talking about the ability of folks in every corner of the Commonwealth to get to work in the morning, to go see their loved ones, to get to school, to go to the grocery store. Whether you work a 9 to 5 or you work the night shift, public transit ought to be there for you. And here's the thing. I was going to say some nonsense about trying not to get political, but we are at the Pennsylvania Capitol, so what the heck. Listen, the conversation that we're having, I have some other constituents from Lancaster here, some young folks who are here to advocate for out-of-school time funding because the feds are cutting after-school funding. We're here because the feds aren't sufficiently funding transit, and while our federal administration does their level best to dismantle every single public good that makes this country great. We are here. You are here, standing in the gap to make sure that people can have food on their table, that kids have somewhere to go after school, that moms can get the health care that they need, and by God, that they have a way to get there every single day on time. So if you believe that that is more important than yet another tax cut for yet another faceless billionaire, let me hear you make some noise. If you believe that a good use of $400 million rather than a Qatari private jet is Pennsylvania's public transit, let me hear you make some noise. I'll never forget this as long as I live, and then I swear to God I'm going to stop talking. I was a bad kid. If you've known me long enough, you know that. I got kicked out of school in 6th grade. I had to go to a school further from my house. So I got home from school one day, and my mom is a single mom, and we'd been having a rough time, just the two of us in our relationship. So I walked myself down to the flower shop with some change from my pocket. I bought a rose, one red rose. Red was my mother's favorite color. And I then took the RRTA bus out to Millersville to surprise her in a meeting with this flower I had bought from my pocket change. Public transit makes stories like that possible. It makes every story you've heard today possible. It is not just necessary and moral. It is like good and pleasant and fun and joyful. And you know what? It's been a hard couple of years. If the Pennsylvania General Assembly can do anything to make sure that all of our neighbors, that their tomorrow is just a little bit easier, it will be to fully fund public transit. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rep. Izzy. All right, we're going to move back across the state a little bit to the home of the Nittany Lions in Center County, CATA, adjacent to where entire townships are losing transit service as we speak, and an entire state university system relies on the bus. Representative Paul Takak, is he still here? Dang it. Okay, all right. He was here, and I want to really shout him out because he has been at our rallies in the past. Center County is the third largest by ridership transit service in the Commonwealth. So I want to make sure we note that. Again, this is not a Philly-Pittsburgh issue. This is an all-PA issue. All right, next up on my list, we have got over in the Atlanta region, someone who will be living with the impacts of that system's feared service cuts and even larger fare increases, Scott Slingerland from the Coalition for Appropriate Transportation, a Lehigh Valley Transit Advocacy Group.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Slingerland with CAT in Bethlehem, PA. I'm also a transit rider. I'm coming to you today to represent the 3 cities of Bethlehem, Allentown, and Easton, and 59 other municipalities, urban, suburban, and rural, that comprise the Lehigh Valley. I'm here to support funding for our public transit network, Lanta Bus and Lanta Van. We are the 3rd largest community in Pennsylvania with 2 counties and over 700,000 residents. On a typical weekday, Lanta Bus serves 12,740 bus trips, 850 van and paratransit trips. Public transit serves seniors, people going to medical appointments, people bringing their kids to child care, people going to work and school, and people supporting the economy. Public transit is vital. And thanks to Commonwealth of Pennsylvania funding in recent years, public transit in Lehigh Valley has been finally reaching its service potential with spans so people can get home to their families at night, and enhanced frequency so riders can be confident that waiting times are reduced. We need public transit in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania needs public transit. Yeah. In our region, annually, Lanta Bus serves 4,045,800 transit rides, and they all depend on your vote. Most of these riders are not here today, but we ask senators and representatives for your support. I would specifically like to call on our Lehigh Valley representatives and senators for their support. Representative Steve Samuelson, who's on my left. Thank you for being here, Representative. Representative Jeannie McNeil, Representative Bob Freeman, Representative Gary Day, Representative Michael Schlossberg, Representative Peter Schweier, Representative Milou McKenzie, Representative Zach Mako, Representative Josh Siegel, Representative Ann Flood, Representative Joe Emmerich, and our senators who are so vital to vote in the upcoming weeks, Senator Jarrett Coleman, Senator Nick Miller, and Senator Lisa Boscola. We are counting on all of you to support public transit. Please support public transit for Lehigh Valley and across Pennsylvania. Thank you.
We really appreciate it. All right, and we are going to we're going to take the bus now back to the Red Rose region. We know that healthcare and elder access are at the core of transit service, especially for our smaller systems. From the Lancaster County Community Foundation to discuss how transit service is essential for social services, Dave Kozer.
Good morning. My name is Dave Kozer, and I am the Director of Programs at the Lancaster County Community Foundation. First, let me start off with an admission of guilt. I know I'm guilty of taking for granted every single time I do that I need to do something or just want to do something, I can just hop in my car and I'm off. There isn't much that will hold me back if I want to grab something at the grocery store, watch my son's sports game or piano recital, or if I just want to get a nice view of the river at sunset. But I know that for so many Pennsylvanians, that is just not a reality. And when you talk about privilege, that means that there are people who aren't privileged. Either these folks can't afford a car or the insurance or the gas, or they have some kind of disability or ailment that prevents them from driving. They simply don't have the ability to go where they want, when they want, where they need to, when they need to. A place like Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, quite honestly, is built around the automobile. Yes, if you live in the city of Lancaster, you have relatively close access to many services at a central location. But if you don't, and around 90% of our residents don't live in the city, it's going to be a great struggle to get yourself to medical appointments, to access mental health services, to even shop for groceries. If you don't have access to a car. I hear these stories all the time. Red Rose Transit Authority does a great job transporting folks in Lancaster County's hub and spoke bus network, but the system only works if you happen to live along a bus route and your destination is along a bus route. It works for thousands of people every day, but not for thousands of others. We need to do better for everybody. Public transit is a lifeline for low-income individuals, families, immigrants, refugees, and seniors. Without consistent and reliable transit, residents needing vital services cannot access them to provide for their most basic human needs. We know that reliable transit reduces the risk of food insecurity and allows those with chronic conditions and illnesses to reach the services they need to survive. As a funder of many human service organizations, Lancaster County Community Foundation recognizes that many of our partners are not able to deliver their services to residents without robust transit systems that serve all parts of our communities. I could go on and on about how public transportation benefits our most vulnerable populations. Beyond that, there are tourism implications. Lancaster County is a tourist destination. Mass transit would greatly assist and put Lancaster on the map even more for the tourist industry. And finally, there are great benefits to a robust public transportation system from an environmental perspective. The data on this front is particularly grim for Lancaster County and the surrounding areas, including Harrisburg, as just last year, the American Lung Association graded the region an F for air quality. If more people were riding on buses because we made it easy to do so, we could drastically improve our air quality and have a positive impact on reduction of greenhouse gases that are contributing to global warming. For all of these reasons, the Lancaster County Community Foundation, along with local partners like Tenfold, YWCA Lancaster, and the Lancaster Recreation Commission, and many others, call on our legislature to fully fund public transit for our environment, for our economy, and for the dignity of every human being that inhabits our great Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dave. I want you to recall what I just talked about with Center County, conjure it from your memory, and I'd like to bring up Representative Paul Takak from Center County.
Thank you, Connor. Sorry to keep you all waiting. Good morning. Public transit is an essential lifeline for millions of people in all 67 counties. But as you know, it's chronically underfunded and seriously underfunded. So that's why I support the governor's proposal to add $292 million to help ensure that these essential services continue to operate in urban, suburban, and especially rural areas across our great Commonwealth. Let me just share real quickly what that means from the perspective of someone who lives in central Pennsylvania. My district is home to two of the primary public transit operators serving rural communities. The first is the Center Area Transit Authority, which serves State College, Penn State, and the surrounding municipalities. Every year, they offer over 250,000 scheduled trips for more than 4.8 million patrons and remove an average of what the equivalent of 14,000 cars from our roads every single day. That's the third largest in the Commonwealth. Yet despite financial support from local governments, university partners, and businesses, stagnant state and federal funding has forced some really difficult decisions. That includes reducing route services, eliminating routes, reducing their workforce, deferring fleet upgrades, and more. And you know, that hurts the people who rely on those services the most: working people, the elderly, disabled, and those on fixed or limited incomes. It hurts them most of all. That's why this proposed funding increase would make a huge difference for CATA and the other transit agencies that are county-based. For example, for CATA, it would mean $3.8 million more annually. From June, in Cambria County, it would mean $1.7 million. For Williamsport River Valley Transit, sorry, that's in Lycoming County, $1.9 million. And it doesn't sound like much, but a much needed $560,000 for the Endless Mountains Transport Authority, which serves Bradford, Sullivan, and Tioga counties. That's a huge area. This funding is desperately needed. And of course, $38 million in support for a statewide shared ride program, which despite being an ADA requirement, is literally on life support and being supported with local dollars. We need these monies now. In addition to CATA, my district is also home to one of the only 2 remaining providers for rural intercity bus services. Fullington Trailways, provides nearly 70% of services between small towns and rural communities to endpoint destinations like Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, New York City, and elsewhere. And they stop along the way at places like Altoona, Johnstown, Williamsport. Each year, over 82,000 riders use that system to go to work, to go to school, to see the doctor, go to visit family. And, you know, if you don't live, or if you live in those communities and you don't own a car or have access to one, that is literally the only way to get between those cities. A decade ago, there were 6 different companies serving this network, but today there are only 2. And they receive only limited federal funding, and they rely on fares and charter and even providing school bus services. With all the chaos in Washington, we can't count on that. We need to make sure that Pennsylvania is supporting our rural communities as well as our urban communities. Without that, they may cease to exist altogether. So I urge my colleagues in the House and Senate on both sides of the aisle to come together. We need to make sure that we're funding these essential services. This is not just an issue in urban areas. This is all 67 counties. These are vital services, and we need them to keep going forward into the future. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Rep. We're going to now take the bus across the entirety of the Commonwealth to another co-sponsor of the Transit for All PA funding package from the PRT region, Senator Lindsey Williams from Allegheny County.
Williams. I'm proud to represent Allegheny County and a new board member of Pittsburgh Regional Transit.
Yeah.
I'm ready to fight alongside everyone here to save public transit. Yeah. Save public transit! Save public transit! Save public transit! Save public transit! I want to start by thanking Transit for All PA and everyone here for standing up for public transit across Pennsylvania. This coalition answered the call to identify funding mechanisms for public transit that don't just fund our systems to survive, but they fund them to thrive. And as Rep. Abney said, I'm proud to join my colleagues, Rep. Abney, Rep. Benham, who's here, and Senator Saval. But we didn't do that alone. We did that with all of you. We couldn't have introduced the Transit for All legislative package without you. So give yourselves a round of applause. SEPTA and PRT grab the headlines, but there are communities across Pennsylvania who desperately need better public transit. Yes. My district in northern Allegheny County, which starts to turn rural, has some of the most cuts in PRT service region. Communities in my district, like the Allegheny Valley, desperately need better public transit options, like I know many of you here today do, too. They want to get to work in the city. They want to get to a grocery store. They want to take the bus to PNC Park for a ball game, even if the Pirates aren't doing so good. I believe no matter where you live, you shouldn't have to own a car to get where you need to go safely. Last week, I went to a Transportation Committee hearing in Altoona, where we heard from Rural Regional Development and Chamber of Commerce people that their communities have the same public transit needs that our urban centers do. They need the infrastructure to build out to attract talented young people to live and work in rural communities. They need routes that connect their neighborhoods to airports and commuter centers. One of them told a story that the airport said that they don't have enough public transit at the airport. They literally paste a phone number so that they could call an Uber driver to come. What? No. We need transit for all, not trying to hope and pray when you get there that you have transit. It should be there all the time. I learned that riders in rural PA are more likely to be veterans, to be seniors, and to be disabled, and that in the next 10 years, 1 in 3 Pennsylvanians will be over the age of 60. To keep people moving, to attract younger people to Pennsylvania, and to grow our economy, we must invest in our public transit systems. We need to stop starving our public transit systems. We need to get people where they need to go, and that starts with Transit for All. I'm so proud to work with all of you, and we're going to get it across the finish line together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator. Up next, we're going to crisscross back on the bus across to the SEPTA region. While much of Pennsylvania relies on school buses, Philadelphia relies on SEPTA buses to get students to class. To show us with that, we have Senator Nikhil Saval and a Philadelphia high school student.
Thank you, Connor. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nikhil Saval. It is an honor to represent the people and communities of Pennsylvania's 1st senatorial district and to chair the Philadelphia delegation in the Senate. I want to recognize my colleague, Senator Sharif Street, who is here, strong advocate. Philadelphia is home to nearly 200,000 public school students, many of whom rely on public transit to reach their schools each morning, to travel to and after school activities, and to make it home again at the end of the day. Transit is lifeline for our students, teachers, parents, and caregivers in Philadelphia and across the Commonwealth. We need fully funded transit for all of us. With that, I'm proud to cede the rest of my speaking time to Jayla, a high school student at the Academy at Palumbo, which is a stellar magnet school in my district. Thank you, Jayla, for traveling to Harrisburg today to illustrate the real stakes of the fight for SEPTA and for transit across PA. We are so glad to be here. Give it up for Jayla.
Good morning, everyone. Like Senator Saval said, my name is Jayla Fitzgerald, and I'm a student at the Academy at Palumbo, a magnet school in South Philadelphia. And I'm here today to speak out about public transit and about giving it the proper funding it needs to prosper. In Philly, SEPTA is the key to keeping our city moving. It gets our workers to jobs, our students to school, and our patients to their care. Every bus route and train line is a lifeline connecting people to the things that they need to survive and thrive. I'm a student myself who has to use 3 different bus routes to get to the best education that I can. On a day where everything goes right, I commute about 40 minutes door to door to my school. There are thousands of students like me who do this every day. Because high school students don't get provided with school buses, SEPTA is our school bus that we need and use in order to get to our schools. And with cut routes and reduced services, it makes it harder for us to get there. We would start having to commute more times than we should because the very thing that gets us to where we need to be is underfunded. There are already times that I was late to school because of a detoured route. Now imagine if that route were to get canceled as a whole or start coming less frequently. For some students, SEPTA is their only way to get to their school. Without it, their educational opportunities in the city will be more limited. When you fight to invest in keeping SEPTA accessible and reliable, you fight to keep our students in school and the future of our communities. Funding SEPTA funds our future. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Jayla and Senator Saval. Next up, I'm going to bring up another co-sponsor of the Transit for All PA funding package, Vice Chair of the Allegheny County Delegation, Rep. Jessica Benham.
A little shorter than the previous speakers. It is so good to be here today, surrounded by so many people who believe in the importance of public transit. But I wish we didn't have to be here. I wish we didn't have to beg for the adequate funding that we deserve across the Commonwealth for public transit. It is an honor to be one of a number of elected officials who are fighting for adequate transit funding. But it shouldn't have to happen. It shouldn't be a fight. You know, I didn't have a car before I got elected. And so I understand what it is like to have a bus that only comes every 40 minutes, that you rely on to get to your job, to get to school, to go out with friends, and to get home safely at the end of the night. And I know what it is like to sit there on a day like today in the hot sun when the bus you are waiting on doesn't show up. And you're gonna wait another 30, 40 minutes, hopefully, for the next bus to show up on time. And you better hope and pray that you were planning on that bus potentially not being there so that you still make it to class or to your job on time. That is not what we deserve in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We deserve to have transit that runs frequently, is on time, is staffed by bus drivers who have the wages and benefits that they deserve. And we deserve to have a transit system where the last bus doesn't stop at 10 p.m. at night. So my district has the bus line with the heaviest ridership in the Commonwealth outside of the SEPTA system. And it is a bus line that people rely on for all of the reasons that I mentioned. And I had the opportunity the other day to ride that bus and to interview people about why transit matters to them. And it was stories from senior citizens who said, how am I supposed to get to the farmer's market to get fresh food if I don't have this bus? From students who said, how am I supposed to get to class if I don't have this bus? From people on their way to jobs who said, happy to talk to you, but kind of tired today, but I'm still relying on this bus to get to work. So, alongside many of my colleagues, I'm going to be fighting like hell to make sure that if you're somebody like me who didn't have a car before she had to start going to Harrisburg, and don't get me wrong, I'd take the Amtrak if it ran at good times. It doesn't. That's another conversation. But if you don't have a car, like I didn't have a car, I believe you shouldn't have to have one in order to get where you are going, wherever it is, on time. So let's build that world where we don't just plug the holes and stop the cuts, but where we build transit systems across the Commonwealth that get us going on time, with frequency, with safety. Let's build that world. Thank you all for building it with me.
All right, thank you so much, Rep. Next up, we return to SEPTA in Philadelphia, one of our most vocal champions from the most transit-rich district in PA, Representative Ben Waxman.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being here, the advocates who keep on coming to Harrisburg. Give yourselves a round of applause. We need you here. I represent the 182nd District, which is Center City, Philadelphia, and let me tell you, if the cuts that are being proposed as a result of the lack of funding go forward, it will be a catastrophe for my district. A catastrophe for my district. Let me say that for me, this is really, we're at a crisis level. And for me and my constituents, you know, we do different kinds of data and we look at information about each district. My district, we have 203 members in the House of Representatives, and I am ranked 203 by the number of people who commute to work not in a car, all right? Let me repeat that statistic. I am #1 in the entire Commonwealth for people who commute to work not in a car. And what that means, is that my constituents rely on SEPTA and public transit more than almost anybody else. And they rely on it for all of the reasons that people have talked about today. They rely on it to get to school, to get to work. If they're living with a disability, they rely on it to get wherever else they're trying to go. It will be a catastrophe if these budget cuts are allowed to go through. So it's probably no surprise that in my district office, we are receiving about 100 calls a week. 100 calls a week from our constituents who are very, very concerned about the lack of action in Harrisburg, all right? So what I want to say to folks who are contacting me, who are contacting other members of the Philadelphia delegation, and contacting elected officials all over the Commonwealth, keep it up. Keep it up. Even if you have a representative like me who supports mass transit and has been on record supporting mass transit, keep it up. We need to keep hearing from you, okay? And let me just be also clear, because I see people, maybe this is their first time in Harrisburg, okay? June is the month that we do the state budget, all right? June is the month when everything happens in Harrisburg. Everything happens in Harrisburg. We have more session days legislative session days scheduled in June than any other month of the year, period, okay? So this is the moment, all right? This is the time. And this month, we need to hear from you over and over. We need to hear from you here in Harrisburg. We need to hear from you in our district offices, because the alternative that we don't get the money we need for our transit systems, not just in Philadelphia, but all over the Commonwealth, that is not something that we can allow to happen. And the only way we're going to stop it is by fighting together. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Rep. We're going to keep it in the SEPTA region, and we're going to go into Senator Sharif Street, another champion of transit.
Fund it now. Fund it now. Fund it now. Fund it now. You know, I heard from Representative Waxman represents Center City, Philadelphia, where so much of the economic activity of the Commonwealth takes place. And a lot of the revenue that funds everything else happens there. Well, I represent a lot of the little guys who go to work and need to get on the Broad Street line, need to get on a bus in order to make sure that that happens. You know, we got big companies like Comcast and Aramark, and we have beautiful museums like the Art Museum. But guess what? If the people who unlock the door can't get to work, it's a problem. If the people that clean it up can't get to work, it's a problem. If the people that answer the phones can't get to work, it's a problem. If the people who do all the basic things, all the so-called little people that make and power the Center City, Philadelphia, that power our regions can't get to work, it's a problem. And those folks power Pennsylvania, and SEPTA is how they move. We have to fund mass transit because regular people that allow the folks in cars to, when they get to work, to actually be able to do something are on mass transit. We've got to fund mass transit because mass transit is the economic engine that allows everything else to work. You know, without mass transit, the region in the Southeast would shut down. Without SEPTA, it already takes me longer sometimes if you're driving in a car to get from Harrisburg to Philadelphia. It takes longer to get you can get from Harrisburg to King of Prussia faster than you can get from King of Prussia to Philadelphia, even though that's only 19 miles. Without SEPTA, it would be a complete parking lot. The economic engine in the Southeast would completely shut down without SEPTA. It is an essential part of where the most densely populated part of the Commonwealth, how we function. Everybody, whether you're in a car or whether you're on a bus or a train, needs SEPTA to function in the Southeast. But it's not just SEPTA. We've heard that across the Commonwealth, regular people that are doing regular jobs need mass transit to get there. But if those people don't show up, the bosses who might be driving a car are going to have a much harder time functioning. The doctors might be in a car, but a lot of times the hospital workers that are making the hospital work, they're on mass transit. The CEO might be in a car, but the person that makes sure that the elevator continues to run is probably on mass transit. We need to make sure that if we're a Commonwealth, we need to look out for the common good of all people, and we need to fund mass transit. We need to fund it now. We need to make sure that we prioritize the people of Pennsylvania, because the power of the people is always more important and more powerful than the people in power. We need to fund it now. Fund it now. Fund it now.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Senator. All right, for our conclusion, we're going to do two more guests from SEPTA. Up first, from a region facing a lot of service loss in its regional rail, we're going to be Rep. Sean Doherty. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. How are you? How did many of you get up here today? The train or the bus? My name's Sean Doherty. I represent the 172nd District of Northeast Philadelphia. It's my neighborhood where I grew up. It's where I live. Before I was here as a state representative, I was a public defender in Philadelphia. I live right around the corner from the Fox Chase line. I took that train every single day to and from work, and so do my neighbors. It's how they support themselves and their families. Now, even though, and there's no shame in my game, I'm biased because I'm from Philadelphia, so go Birds, but funding mass transit is not just a Philadelphia issue. It is a Pennsylvania issue. And I feel like a broken record because I keep screaming this from every mountaintop I can find, that we need to fund SEPTA and fund mass transit. And the time to do that is now. Listen, if we don't do this, we'll all be sitting in traffic honking our horns at one another. It doesn't matter if you're in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Monroe County, wherever it is. But here's one thing I want to tell you. Our voices can be louder than our horns. Call your elected officials, call your state reps, call your state senators, let everyone you know hear how crucial it is that we fund mass transit. Now listen, I don't know about you, but I hate traffic. I don't want to sit in traffic with you. I'd rather be sitting on a nice bus or train, air-conditioned with you, getting to and from efficiently. But I know as a SEPTA rider, though, every time I tap this key card, this money doesn't just go to Philadelphia. It goes to roads and bridges in all 67 counties of this Commonwealth. I like to say, you know, in Philadelphia we have a saying, Philly supports Philly. But here, up in Harrisburg, this is about the common good, the Commonwealth. Pennsylvania supports Pennsylvania. We're Philadelphia strong, we're Pennsylvania strong, and most of all, we're transit strong. And we're not going to back down from this fight. And we're going to keep swinging until we get what we want. Fund mass transit. Fund it now. Thank you.
All right, and for our rousing conclusion, I want to bring up another loud and proud champion of transit, a lifelong rider, and also facing enormous service loss in his district, Rep. Joe Hohenstein.
So just like Rep. Doherty, I got my key card, okay? I've ridden SEPTA my entire life. I'm going to give one quick shout out to the disability community for showing up today. Thank you, Josie, Michael, all the leaders in that community know what it means to show up for people. We've been out here for a long time, so I'm going to be real brief and just make a couple of very basic points. And then we're going to end with a song that I was requested to sing. I don't sing, but I will sing the song. So my basic points are, when you invest in transit, you invest in people. When you invest in people, you lift up everyone. And as Representative Doherty mentioned, that isn't just Philly, it isn't just Pittsburgh, it isn't just the urban areas of the state. It is every single Pennsylvanian benefits when we do this investment in our transit system. So I appreciate all of you guys being out here in the sun, in the hot, and so I'm going to close with my song from Frankfurt. All right? So people know the Market Frankfurt L. It's a Frankfurt L, and it has had its own song. How many people here know the Frankfurt L song? All right, I'm going to teach you the Frankfurt L song. It's not that hard, okay? It's about where you're going to get to go. So the words of the song have always been, you can't get to heaven on the Frankfurt L, because the Frankfurt L goes straight to Frankfurt. Thank you. Now, we're going to change that, okay? We're going to change the end of it, because I believe that the road to heaven is paved by mass transit. So we're going to just say, well, we won't worry about going to Frankfurt. We're just going to we're going to be getting ourselves into heaven. Okay? So we're going to change the words to the song, and the words to the song are now going to be, we can get to heaven, we can get to heaven on the Frankfurt L, on the Frankfurt L, because the Frankfurt L goes straight to heaven, okay? That's what we're going to do, because we're going to end this on that positive note of where we are taking Pennsylvania, where we're taking all of the transit riders. So is everybody ready to sing with me?
Yeah, let's go.
Good, because I'm not ready to sing. All right. Oh, you can't get to heaven. No, you can get to heaven on the Frankfurt L, on the Frankfurt L, because the Frankfurt L goes straight to heaven. All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you all.
All right, we're in heaven now, but it's hot as hell out here. So we're wrapped on this portion. I just want to get everybody, we know there are 300 people here that have come from across the Commonwealth, but people are kind of wilting in the shade. We're asking everyone, I know it's painful, but come out and line these, the stairs, come out as far front as you can so we can take one really good group picture, because this ain't happening again in the next 2 weeks. It's not happening again in this season. So everyone, please come up, make sure you're behind the banner, make sure you're visible. Watch out for the wheelchair users so that they're not blocked. All right, we're going to get one really, really good picture, and then I promise you, we have all good things next in the shade. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't think we can get underneath the wheelchair users.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Uh-oh. Keep going. Okay, watch out, don't get in front of the speaker. Otherwise it's going to start squeaking. No, don't. It's quick for somebody. All right, so I'm going to do, again, I'm going to say something, you say for all PA. Fun transit! For all PA! The bus! For all PA! Bus drivers! For all PA! Yes, transit! For all PA! Shared ride! For all PA! We're transit! For all PA! Fun transit! For all PA! We're transit! For all PA! Woo! All right, I'm going to give some instructions now about what we're going to be doing for the rest of the day. Oh, no, Dan, do you mean, are we okay? We're good, okay. All right, so here's what's gonna happen. We're good on pictures. Listen up, everybody. Yeah, we're good on pictures. So we have lunches available on Irvis Lawn. Irvis Lawn is down here and to the right. You'll see a big old crowd of people going down here and to the right in a minute. So folks can go over there, take your box lunch. Many of you will have names for your box lunch if you had special dietary needs. Otherwise, you just take a box lunch. There's also free milkshakes today because it's Dairy Day in the Capitol. So just FYI, over there, that's where the milkshakes are. We are making sure that all representatives and all senators are hearing from us today. That is why we are sorting ourselves into groups. So everybody that has a yellow vest is a group leader. Those group leaders have numbers written on their circle fans. Try to identify your group leader sometime on the lawn. So at the lawn, they'll hold up their number. If you have a hard time figuring out what your group is, there's a table over here to the right with Claire and Cheryl. They're waving their hands. That can help you identify your group. These are the groups that are going to visit every representative and every senator in the entire Capitol. Okay, good. All right. All right, so where are my non-Pittsburgh Philly people? Raise your hands. Non-Pittsburgh and Philly people, we have a special assignment for you. You are the most important people here today. The very most important people. And we have a special assignment. Dan, this is the man you need to see for your assignment, because we need to get your stories in front of your representatives and senators who don't believe that you exist. So he's going to help you make sure that you get directed specifically to your senators and representatives. All right, so the last thing I'm going to say is We're trying our best. We have 300 people here today. A good attitude will get us through, but find anybody with a vest or a PBT t-shirt. We might be able to help direct you and help you if you have other needs. Is there anything else I'm missing? All right, so everyone can go over to the Irvis lawn to get your lunch, find a place to rest, and then we'll do our legislative visits. Thank you. They're right inside.
Outside Philly, Pittsburgh, one more time. Find Dan.
Okay, outside Philly and Pittsburgh, find Dan, who's whatever, he's walking away now, but he's headed, there he is, he's going up high. Bathrooms